President Trump's not backing down. He's defending his plan to raise tariffs on foreign steel and aluminum, even as he takes heavy flack from his own party. A spokesperson for House Speaker Paul Ryan said in a statement, "We're extremely worried about the consequences of a trade war, and we're urging the White House to not advance with this plan." He didn't say it in that tone, but I did. Trump responded by telling reporters, not backing down. Joining us now with a reaction is Bryan Riley. He's the director of the Free Trade Initiative at the National Taxpayers Union, and Gordon Chang, who's written extensively on foreign affairs, including trades. Great to see both of you. I want to play, just to reset things for a moment, I want to play a flashback from just a few years ago from some of the so-called experts on what trade would do to free up and maybe improve things in China. Let's watch.
Bringing China into the WTO is a win-win decision. It will protect our prosperity, and it will promote the right kind of change in China.
Let's be frank. If China emerges as a stronger economic power, but with a more liberalized political system, that will be very, very good for the world.
I believe a country that trades with the rest of the world is a country more likely to embrace freedom.
How has that worked out for us, Bryan?
Well, the thing is, Laura, this isn't about China. This is about Canada. This is about Europe. This is about our main trading partners. And this is about whether Americans should have the freedom to decide how to spend their own money. Should the government decide, well, no, you have to pay a 25% tax. That's all a tariff is a tax. So if you're making aluminum boats, if you're making air conditioners, if you're making cars, if you're making aircraft, this is a tax on you. It's going to get passed along to the American consumers. It's going to cost us billions.
What is
Is
there a national security implication at all in a world where China is the predominant steel maker? Is there any national security concern that you have, given what we use steel for?
Well, the Defense Department has said we have plenty of steel, we have plenty of aluminum, we have suppliers among our allies, including Canada. I think the real national security question is if we drive up the price of steel, if we drive up the price of aluminum, we're hurting ourselves. We're creating tension with our allies unnecessarily. That puts us in a worse situation with respect to China, not a better situation.
Gordon Chang, your reaction.
Well, first of all, these tariffs are imposed under the Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962. This is a national security provision. And the reason why the tariffs are set at the levels that President Trump announced is so that these industries can become self-sustaining. So if we're in a war of any duration, we will be able to make steel, we will be able to make aluminum. And by the way, this is not just some theoretical concern, because at this point, the United States doesn't make certain types of steel and aluminum that go into our weapons. So although there are a lot of trade concerns that Bryan's talking about, I can understand that, but this is a national security issue.
Guys, I think it was, 15 years ago, we had 18 of the top 25 steel makers in the world. Today, I looked at the list compiled in 2016, mind you, 2 years old now, but I believe we have 2 of the top 25. China has 10. China in 2000 produced about 11%, 15% of steel. Now they produce 46.8% of steel in the world. It's a communist country. They repress their people. They suppress human rights. They cheat. They steal. They take our intellectual property. They really try and will, I think, effort domination not only of their hemisphere but of our hemisphere. And I think back on the experts, Bryan, and what they've said about China in the years past, the same people we're supposed to listen to today. Here's some of the headlines in the last month. Foreign Affairs, the China reckoning, how Beijing defied American expectations. I believe we have the free, there they are. Washington Post, we got China wrong. Now what? The Economist, how the West got China wrong. All the experts.
I think you're exactly right, Laura, but I don't think we want to be more like China as a result. You look around the world, the countries that are most prosperous are those that have the most economic freedom. We need more freedom, not less freedom. This is a backtrack on what President Trump has done to make us more competitive.
All right, guys, great segment. And by the way, after the worst-rated Oscars, I know Bryan and Gordon were watching them last night with the popcorn. Celebrities might want to take a cue from our